just arrived at the caves. Right, found parking. If you've got a motorhome, this is obviously only the case. If you get here a little bit early, there's a few parking spaces for motorhomes in the actual main car park, which actually does work out a little bit cheaper and also a little bit easier to access. However, if not, don't worry about it. And just over on one side of it, there's actually a motorhome location where you can actually park up. It's about €25, and you can park for the day. It's got electric and whatever sort of similar sort of facilities to theirs, really. So you can actually, if you wanted to, you could come really early, park there, and basically make the whole day of it. But as I say, in our case, what we've done, we found a little place just behind me. You can see the home behind us. We've parked up, and we've just parked up there. So we're going to obviously just be here for, I don't know, maybe sort of 4 or 5 hours, possibly, maybe a bit longer, and hopefully just sort of go when we finish. I'll give you an update on the castle as we go through it. But for the moment, yes, I went on arrival. When you're walking up, you can actually get like the chap there gives you a ticket, and they do a combination ticket. They do like the train. You just see a picture, you can see a train, or you can do a train and the castle, train and the castle. You can basically mix and match, and you get a slight bit of discount when you mix and match. I mean, in this particular case, I'm not doing the castle, and there's also one with like what looks like the outside life. I'm doing the train ride and the wildlife that's actually inside the castle. A bit more info. When you come here and you have to get basically buy a ticket to visit the caves. On this one, there's actually a little train that takes you around the track, into the caves and so forth, which would be fun. As you can see behind me, they're all queuing up for the 10:30 one. Mine happens to be the next one on, so it's 10:45, so it gives me about 15 minutes grace to actually have a bit of a pan round and just give you a bit of info. So anyway, when you arrive, get your ticket, and they give you a boarding time when you can get on the train. As I say, it looks like, by the look of all the crowds, boarded the train eventually. To come here in the summer is going to be absolutely manic. Despite the train was booked for 10:45, we'll probably have to wait in the queue for probably another half an hour on top of that. So it's yes, I would certainly try and avoid coming here in the summer if I was you. If we do, plan ahead, because it can get really, really busy. to reach the bottom of the cavern, you're then asked to get out. So I think you'll actually do a small walking tour then, which I'll take some pictures of.
That's great to hear. Welcome to the Postojna Cave. My name is Rok and I will be your guide today. So before I slice the hardest part of the tour, the climb onto the great mountain, don't worry, we stop somewhere in the middle of the climb and you can take some rest and we'll talk about this cave and everything that we will see along the way. Along the way you may take photos, of course, but please don't use flash, because when we are in the cave, our eyes get used to darkness and flash can be a bit blinding. And also, flash disturbs any cave animals that we might encounter along the way. Mostly small insects, but spiders and such. Also, don't touch any stalagmites or stalactites, because if you do touch them, eventually become dirty, and of course we don't want that. So, are you ready to begin? The entrance into the inner parts of the Postojna Cave was discovered by a man called in the year 1818. He was completely amazed by everything that he saw inside, all the stalagmites, stalactites, and everything else. He thought he was in heaven, and his enthusiasm quickly caught on because from the very next year, 1819, this cave was already open for visitors. How exactly did this cave even form? While you were walking towards the cave entrance, on the left side you could see a river. That river is called Duka, and it only took that river about 2 to 3 million years to slowly find its way to the underground through tiny cracks in the limestone with the scars of rock. And when those cracks grew bigger and bigger until they became so big that it was possible to install a railway inside the cave. By the way, this is the first and only subway in Slovenia, and I'm probably not mistaken if I say that this is the most accurate train in Slovenia as well. The river eventually moved into the lower levels, so the tunnels that we'll be walking through today remain dry at all times. Or almost all times. Because probably you have experienced some water drops falling onto your heads already. That's rainwater, and that rainwater created all the stalagmites and stalactites that you can see. How did that happen? When the rain falls through the sky, carbon dioxide, or CO2, gets into the raindrops, and that way you get the baric acid, is then slowly dissolved in this limestone. And when the water that carries that dissolved limestone in it comes through the cracks in the ceiling into the cave itself, that rock starts depositing into the form of dripstones. Of course, this takes a long time. In fact, for a dripstone to grow 1 centimeter, we need about 100 years. That's an average. Some grow faster than that, and some grow a lot slower. Later on our tour, we'll see some stalactites that we call spaghetti. Those need about 1,000 years to grow 1 centimeter. So which kinds of dripstones do we know? Those that grow from the ceiling are called stalactites. Those that grow from the ground up are called stalagmites, such as this one, the skyscraper, the tallest stalagmite in the cave, and it is estimated to be between 100,000 and 500,000 years old. Sometimes the stalactite and the stalagmite grow together. That's when they form a pillar, like this one right here. Sometimes they also form an ice cream. So you can cool down a bit, the sun is coming soon. And we also have another kind of dripstones, a special one. We call them curtains. You can see a few of them from the train already. And we'll see more of them later when we stop at the bridge. The curtains are formed where the ceiling of the cave is at an angle, so the water drops don't fall straight to the ground. Instead, they flow along the ceiling, and along the way, layers and layers of rock are deposited, and so we get curtains in the end. And as you'll see, some of those curtains have red and white stripes, so they kind of look like bacon. That's in case you get hungry. You like bacon, right? I mean, who doesn't? Anyway, the color of stalagmites and stalactites depends on any additives that they contain. Those that are white are from pure calcite, which is a mineral that forms the limestone, so no additives at all. Red color comes from iron or clay, and gray, black color, well, there are several reasons for that. The first reason I already mentioned, they become dirty, that's why they become black or gray, so that's why you must not touch them. The second reason is completely natural. Soot, the second reason the natural one is manganese. And the third reason is soot or smoke. Because in the early days they didn't have any electricity inside the cave, so they had to use torches and candles to light up the cave. And also, early locomotives were diesel powered, so there was a lot of smoke inside the cave, and all that smoke accumulated onto the cave walls. Okay, we'll now continue our way up this climb on the Great Mountain, so we can get over this hardest part of the tour as soon as possible. That fell down from the ceiling. I know what you're thinking, but don't worry. That happened while the river was still flowing through this part of the cave, and it was eroding the cave walls. When the river reached the lower levels, the cave walls stabilized, and nothing fell down except for the water drops that I already mentioned. When we descend from here to the lowest point, we'll descend about 60 meters to the depth. That's the beginning. Next stop. 1891, and by that time there was already electricity inside the cave, so they didn't need to use any torches or candles anymore, and that's why there was no smoke in that part of the cave. So the colors are natural. We'll be going to 3 chambers. They are marked with numbers 6, 7, and 8. Number 6 is called the spaghetti chamber, number 7 is the white chamber, and number 8 is the red chamber. Why these names? Well, the white and the red chamber got their names from the color of stalagmites and stalactites, while the spaghetti chamber got its name from thousands of long and thin stalactites, much like this right here, only they are longer and there's many more of them. And when we enter the spaghetti chamber, all you'll need is to take one look at the ceiling and you'll immediately understand why we call it the spaghetti chamber. Before we enter the most beautiful part of the cave, you can take a good look at the curtains that I mentioned earlier, and when you'll be crossing this bridge, take a look to the right side and you'll be able to see an interesting stalagmite. We call it the Leaning Tower of Pisa. This is the original one, of course, because it's much older than the one in Italy. Just a joke, but it really looks like that tower. Okay, so the way through this part of the cave is very narrow, so stay together with the group. We don't want to leave anyone behind. We'll be stopping again in about 20 minutes time or so, and in the meanwhile, just
Stay there. There is dark.
ceiling. This is called flint. It's a type of quartz, just not crystallized. And water can't seep through it. That's why there are no stalagmites or stalactites here. It's also the same type of rock that the flintstones got their name from. Because yeah, Neanderthals actually did use this type of rock for their stone tools. See the most beautiful part of the cave, and now we've stopped at the deepest point of the cave. We have descended 60 meters from the great mountain, so now we stand about 20 meters lower than the cave entrance and 120 meters below the surface. If you look up to the ceiling, what can you see? Yes, again we have spaghetti here, and that's because while we were descending toward this point we made a circle, and now we are standing directly under the spaghetti chamber. This part of the cave is famous for an event that takes place each year around Christmas time. It's a traditional event in the Postojna Cave. Some of you may have heard about it already, some of you probably not. That's the light feast with Jesus, Mary, Joseph, and everything that goes with that. This event takes place pretty much throughout the entire week that we walk today. There's a lot of lights, a lot of music. This cave is pretty special, but the main part that takes place in this very chamber. In fact, when you step a few meters forward, you'll turn to the right, and I'll use my torch to show you the smaller chamber where the Holy Family will be standing. So if you happen to be in Slovenia at Christmas time, you're of course very much welcome to visit the cave and see that event for yourself. We are now nearing the end of the tour, but we still have some interesting things that we'll see along the way. In about 2 minutes time, we will arrive to the symbol of our cave, the two most famous gripstones. We call them the pillar and the brilliant, and you probably know them from various pictures and also from our official logo, like right here on my jacket. The pillar is light orange and the brilliant is white, which is very interesting because they stand close together, so why are they different in color? Well, that's because water in the part of the cave found two completely separate cracks through the ceiling. One of those cracks had some clay or iron in it. That's why the pillar is light orange. If the other crack didn't have anything in it at all, that's why the brilliant is white, because it's only made from pure calcite. And after we see the symbol, the official symbol of our cave, we will arrive to the aquarium with the living symbol of the cave, the most famous cave animal of them all. Its Latin name is Proteus sanguinus. We also know it as an old cave salamander, a human fish, or even a baby dragon. Okay, follow me.
I've just left the tour of the caves. Definitely worth a visit. As I say, as I alluded to in the very beginning, the problem is obviously you come here in high season, and it will be pretty. You probably don't think it'll be the same experience really. I think it'll be even more busier. So if you are coming, I would probably try to avoid. Maybe check out the holidays when the kids are off and see if it's sort of maybe a better time. So if you are coming in the summer months, maybe see if the local Slovenian calendar gives you any indication of sort of kids being off. But it was busy, as I say. It was probably a good probably half an hour queuing at the very beginning to get onto it. That said, it was all well laid out. The train ride took you down quite low, quite deep into the cavern, which obviously I was trying to skip past a lot of that video. And the chap they actually separate you into language groups when you're doing the talk. So, for example, you end up in the German section if your native tongue is German, or you can speak fluent German, and vice versa, Slovenian and English. The English one tended to be the biggest group, purely because I think majority of people can actually speak English. So even most of your European ones, for example, your Italians would probably end up on the English one. So the English group tend to be the biggest. For that reason, it was probably a little bit more slow moving around the tour. But it was very good. I say, and it's very educational, interesting, and I suppose when you're here, you've got to do it. So anyways, I'm signing off now. Hope you enjoyed the video, and actually, you can always subscribe to my channel, and I'll keep you posted of anything new.